right, welcome families, educators, and community members to our very first Artificial Intelligence webinar. The presentation slides and recording of this webinar can be accessed later via our Family and Student Tech Support website, which we will share later on. On our website, you will also find links to the translations for this presentation available in Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. The majority of this presentation will be brought to you by the TUSD EdTech team, but before we dive in, we'll virtually hand the mic over to our esteemed superintendent, Dr. Stowe.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks, Tara. We've got a lot of information for you tonight. In Torrance Unified, we're very proud of the work that we've done in regards to technology and AI. And you're going to hear from our three leaders, four leaders, including our CTO, Gilmara, with the work that we're doing, not just in the classroom, but with the adults as well. And just all the work that we've put in place, beginning when AI became the buzz in the fall of 2022. We've really spent a lot of time and effort in learning it and making sure that it's going to be an efficiency tool for our adults, but also help our students learn and learn proper uses of technology and artificial intelligence and some of the tools we have at hand. So I just want to thank you for being here and thank all of the support staff that we have that are really helping Torrance lead the way, not just in LA County and California, but even across the country in terms of using educational technology and artificial intelligence to improve student learning. So back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Stowe. Also a shout out to our CTO, Chief Technology Officer, Gilmara, who is our boss, who has provided additional support for us as we implement AI in our district.
Yeah, I just want to welcome everyone this evening also. I think you'll glean quite a bit from all this information we'll provide to you. Just one quick fun fact to let you know how fast AI is moving. It took 3.5 years for Netflix to get 1 million users. ChatGPT reached 1 million users in 5 days. So that shows the speed at which all of this is moving, and we are trying to keep up, catch up, and then continue to be innovative. So I'm going to let our amazing team here take it from here.
Thanks, boss. I do want to remind our audience that this webinar is available in numerous languages, including Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. So if you notice, there should be a button at the bottom that indicates the language for which you can be tuning in to this presentation. Now, as we mentioned, this presentation is brought to you by the TUSD EdTech team, comprised of 3 teachers on special assignment. That would be myself, Tara O'Brien, and Rob Johnson.
Hi, everybody.
We're kind of doing a dance over here. And Tierney Kareem.
Good evening, everyone.
Now, we support all TK through 12 teachers, administrators, students, and their families. And our team brings classroom experience ranging from elementary, middle, and high school, and provide all the EdTech related professional development, partner with teachers to develop curriculum, and model lessons in classrooms.
So this evening, we wanted to discuss a variety of different things that we're doing in our district. So we wanted to show you how to navigate to our student and family websites, which is something that we here in EdTech maintain. We want to discuss our vision for pedagogy and our tech standards through SAMR model. There have been some updates in California with some assembly bills that we will discuss tonight. We also support digital citizenship and critical media literacy. We want to share some of the exciting things that we're doing with artificial intelligence, our exploration program called School AI, and then provide families with resources for how they can support their students at home. So we're really looking forward to delving into all of this. And of course, like Tara mentioned earlier, if you ever have any questions at home, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to support you in any way that we can.
Okay, so we're going to kind of start off speaking about our journey when it comes to artificial intelligence implementation. And our district has really proactively laid a strong foundation for AI implementation, positioning ourselves ahead of neighboring districts and embracing and integrating this transformative technology. Our district journey related to AI started during the summer of 2023. So our team actually kicked off this journey by meaningfully incorporating AI into the professional development training sessions offered to teachers over the summer. Now, starting the fall of 2023, our district established an AI task force comprised of stakeholders, including teachers and administrators from elementary, middle, and high school, directors, coordinators, a TUSD parent, as well as the one and only Chief Technology Officer, Gil Mara. Our EdTech team additionally has had the honor of being selected to present at a range of prestigious educational conferences nationwide, sharing our insights and innovative approaches with a broader audience.
Currently, our initiatives are to work with teachers in staff meetings and in department meetings. We are going to touch on our AI exploration program throughout this webinar. We teach model lessons in classrooms, and throughout the year, we support digital testing at all 30 schools.
So of course, here in EdTech, we're always looking towards the future. What else can we do to help support all of our stakeholders and all of our students, ultimately achieving and enhancing student success? What we are really enthusiastically looking forward to is the development of a student and parent AI committee for those whose teachers are in our exploration program. We are also continually supporting critical media literacy and AI onboarding to all of our educators, including our administrators. And we are looking forward to hopefully being selected to present at more conferences in the United States.
All right, so before we dive in, we do want to help direct you to our Family and Student Tech Support website, where once again, you can find all of this information from this webinar, as well as our information regarding AI implementation in our district. First things first, open up a new tab if you are willing to do this along with us. And what you'll type in up at the top is tusd.org. That is our district website. So once you land on this wonderful homepage, you're going to look out for this Families tab up in the top right-hand corner. Once you click on that option, you're going to see the Parent Tech Support link there available for you. Go ahead and click on it, and it's going to take you to the homepage of our, once again, Family and Student Tech Support website. In the left navigation, notice that we have a variety of different resources available to our families, one of which is our recently added page on artificial intelligence in TUSD. Once you click there, you'll be able to scroll up and down to find a variety of different resources available to families, to some of the guidelines and policies that we've established. We even have a segment on Spectrum News that we linked here with a great article and a video of some of the AI in action in our district. If I scroll on down, there's information about this particular webinar, and notice there's a big link here for you to even access the webinar, which will be switched out later for you to access the recording of this webinar. If I continue down the page, you'll notice that you'll see not only the presentation available in English, but additional languages translated below. If you continue on down, okay, you'll notice a couple other options related to our implementation, as well as the Los Angeles County of Education spotlighting the work we're doing here in our district. So we'll go ahead and circle back to the main presentation.
So we also want to point out that in the webinar, Q&A is open at the bottom, so you can feel free to ask us questions. We may not answer some of them until the end, though. We do want to point out that our EdTech initiatives in Torrance Unified, including those that are listed on the right side of this slide, all support the 5 pillars of Portrait of a Graduate.
Additionally, we also wanted to consider the digital equity framework as part of the digital promise. Torrance Unified School District is committed to advancing digital equity by ensuring that all students and educators have consistent and reliable access to technology and devices. TUSD is really working hard to close the digital divide within our community. We want to make sure that we are providing equity and access to all of our students, because here in TUSD, all really does mean all. We want to make sure that educators are providing differentiated, individualized, and tailored learning experiences for their students, empowering every single learner to thrive in an increasingly digital world. So we want to mention our support for the mission of Torrance Unified, our culture of innovation, and the portrait of a graduate by outlining our vision for what we would like to see when it comes to tech to support curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Here our vision is to have technology and its incorporation into classrooms become a pedagogical expectation. How we would like to achieve this is through something called the SAMR model, which was developed by educator Dr. Ruben Pintadora. And as you can see, the SAMR model has two main dimensions to it. At its most fundamental level, we really want to enhance student achievement by intentionally and mindfully utilizing technology as a substitution and also to augment student achievement. The second dimension, which is really transformative, is utilizing technology as a way to modify and ultimately redefine student learning, which essentially means that students are utilizing technology to create something that they wouldn't otherwise be able to create if they didn't have access. This could be something like a podcast, a video, or a vlog, which we've done here in EdTech from elementary all the way up through high school.
Now, the SAMR model serves as the pedagogical approach to tech integration in classrooms, or the how. Meanwhile, the what, the content itself, is guided by the Common Core State Standards and the International Standards for Technology and Education. On the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see a segment of the TUSD Tech Scope and Sequence shared with all of our TUSD teachers. This remains to be a live document that stays in draft form. As you know, tech is ever evolving, and is designed to support teachers in embedding technology into their curriculum. It does outline specific skills for each grade level and provides guidance on whether students should be introduced to, developing, or proficient in each particular skill. Now, in leveraging these resources and frameworks, we empower educators to seamlessly integrate technology, not just as a tool, but as a transformative force that deepens learning and prepares our students for an increasingly digital world.
There are two pieces of legislation that are guiding some of our current initiatives. Assembly Bill 873 was passed in 2023 and requires critical media literacy to be taught across the curriculum in all grade levels. Assembly Bill 2876 was passed just this past September and requires that AI literacy be embedded into the curriculum frameworks for math, science, and social studies. We've been out ahead of both of these, and we are going to be explaining how we have been tackling these initiatives throughout this webinar.
So part of our work in supporting AB 873 with critical media literacy also includes the concept of digital citizenship. We want to empower students to make excellent choices when it comes to utilizing technology. Although we are tech enthusiasts here in the EdTech office, we do understand that there needs to be a balance. We can't just simply put students in front of devices all the time. There needs to be a balance between technology and also well-being. We also want to guide students in how to make healthy choices online and how to report and what to do if they see or are unfortunately involved in digital drama or cyberbullying. We also want students to be mindful of their digital footprint and protecting their identity. Just because you can delete something off the internet doesn't mean that you can delete it from the minds of folks who have already seen it. And then, of course, we do take data privacy and security of student information very seriously. And we want to make sure that all of our students understand these main concepts, in addition to some other things in regard to digital citizenship, which we will discuss later.
critical media literacy differs from traditional media literacy in that it takes into account the new modalities that students might be getting information from. This includes social media and artificial intelligence. 20 years ago, I was taught to look at the end of a domain name, and if it had a .org, it was going to be more reliable than if it had a .com or a .net. And most kids now are getting information from non-traditional sources such as social media or artificial intelligence. Critical media literacy is a set of strategies for dealing with these new modalities.
So when we are discussing critical media literacy and interacting with volumes of information, we want our students to be able to discern between accurate versus inaccurate information and promote the responsible consumption and production of media. So based on Assembly Bill 873, students need to know the difference between the three types of inaccurate information, and that includes misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And to just kind of put it simply, and this is kind of how we explain it to our students and our teachers, misinformation means that the person disseminating the information is simply misled. So they were not initially perhaps disseminating the information with harmful intent. They were definitely misled or misinformed. Now imagine disinformation on the flip side is more deliberate. It is inaccurate information deliberately shared, likely with the intent to cause harm. Now, malinformation is the most sinister out of all three. And this is actually true information, which is what sets it apart. And it was shared or manipulated with the intent to cause harm. So malinformation is typically more malicious. Now, by distinguishing between these types of information, students become responsible digital citizens capable of fostering a more informed and truthful online environment.
So of the critical media literacy strategies that you see here, I'm going to start with vertical reading. That really is more traditional than the new strategies that CML embraces. Vertical reading means you're looking at a source and you're just looking up and down at the author's name, maybe trying to discern their bias, and then looking for types of mis, dis, and malinformation. Lateral reading is a more current and we think better strategy for dealing with sources. And it's where instead of looking up and down on a page, you open up tabs to the side, you open up tabs laterally, and you search for corroborating or information that is going to discredit your source. We also, in this office, we use multiple AI models, and that's where lateral prompting comes into our vocabulary. It's something that we coined, and it means that when we are in, say, ChatGPT, if we don't like the output or we don't believe the output, we will put that same prompt into other AI models like Gemini or Claude and compare those outputs. We also do lateral reading with those outputs, where we will then do a traditional Google search and see if we can find information either discrediting or proving that the AI output is correct. And then finally, we point students and teachers to credible fact-checking sites like Snopes.
So when we talk about artificial intelligence, what do we really mean? So artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science where essentially bots are trained to do things that typically require human intelligence. Now, our favorite here of the three foundational models, which we'll discuss later this evening, is ChatGPT. And you might be wondering what the GPT really stands for. It's a generative pre-trained transformer. Now, all foundational large language models have three main capacities. They can generate a massive amount of information that is new, which has never existed before. They can synthesize information and also have some predictive capabilities. How AI is trained is in two specific ways. On one hand, there's a massive amount of training data, which includes machine learning, which is essentially done by humans, and also large language models are fed the internet. Testing data, which is the second type of data, is an evaluation for how accurate that output is. So as we march through how we are incorporating artificial intelligence, not as a threat to traditional education, but as a supplement to it, we want to make sure that we are providing digital fluency and literacy for our students so that they can be successful after their TK through 12 experience in Torrance Unified.
So you might be wondering, well, why teach about artificial intelligence? But in today's digital landscape, fostering AI literacy is essential, not only to equip our teachers with the tools needed to navigate evolving technology, but also to ensure students develop a comprehensive understanding of AI's capabilities, as well as limitations that they will encounter. Now, in addition to this, we do have the California State Legislature behind us with the assembly bills that we mentioned earlier to support our implementation and incorporation of AI into curriculum.
The three models shown on the left-hand side of this slide are called foundation models. They are the most used worldwide. ChatGPT is by far the platform of choice for most users, including those in Torrance Unified School District. We are pointing out on this slide the terms of use for these, and we'd like you to notice that none of them allow students or users under the age of 13, and that for minors, it asks for parent consent. We're letting you know that they don't actually require the parent to verify that consent. It just asks for an age, and as long as the student puts in that they are 13 or older, it will let them create an account. On the right-hand side, we're pointing out School AI, which is our platform that our exploration pilot is using. And what it does is it allows the teacher to assign chats that are visible by the teacher and will flag any kind of inappropriate language or chat between the bot and the student. We also have a data privacy agreement with School AI. We take data privacy very seriously in Torrance Unified, and that is one of the things that sets it apart from these foundation models. Finally, we're going to say that all of these are what are called multimodal, which means that instead of just being able to put in text and get text out of it, you can have it generate images. You can put images into it and ask questions about those images, but you can also put in data files, PDFs, and other kinds of files and ask questions about those.
So one of the things that separates Torrance Unified, as Dr. Stowe mentioned earlier, from other surrounding districts is the fact that we have data. So last year we launched a student and teacher AI survey, but tonight we're only going to be focusing on the student part of that survey. And what we really wanted to do was capture how students are using AI, what platform they're using, the frequency, what kinds of things they're asking AI. The fall of 2024, we just closed our fall survey, and we wanted to look at some of the data and compare trends of what we see in terms of student use from the fall of 2023 to the fall of 2024. We also want to be mindful of some of the barriers that might prevent AI from being more visible in classrooms and how we can support students. So as you can see here, when we make decisions about incorporating AI, whether it's a pilot program or guidelines or updating policy, which we'll discuss later as well, we're using data to drive those decisions.
Before we talk about the trends in the data that we see, I want to point out at the bottom that students are mostly reporting that they use AI for personal purposes instead of school. However, over the past year and a half, we have seen a steady increase in students reporting that they use AI, but we still have a sizable group that reports that they don't. We have most kids, 77%, report that they have never used AI for cheating on a full school assignment. And that ChatGPT, both in our teacher data and student data, is the platform of choice among all of our users.
All right, so speaking of that data, here are a couple of the candid and endearing insights shared by our own TUSD students when they were asked on the survey why they use AI. So notice inspiration, quite obviously, language translations, to slightly educate me, help with things I don't understand, emotional support, vegetarian recipes, and of course, homework help. All right, so as we progress along in this presentation, we do need to take a moment to highlight our TUSD AI Exploration Pilot Program. And this is one of the culminations of our AI committee, or the task force, that we established last year. And so for the 24-25 school year, after a rigorous application process, a diverse cohort of teachers has been selected with representation from elementary school, middle, and high school. It actually also includes a very diverse demographic of teachers and students, including English language development, special education, world language, AP teachers, just to name a few. And not only will these teachers and students be piloting school AI as a learning tool, but they're going to unlock all kinds of empowering capabilities along the way. Now, school AI is not only an amazing tool for teachers, its student-facing capabilities is really what set it apart at the time it was actually selected by our committee. And it offers countless opportunities for our students to really delve into that redefinition stage of the SAMR model that Tierney mentioned earlier. Not to mention that school AI's terms of use actually allow for elementary student access. Additionally, it is a tool for which our district has established a data privacy agreement. So for all these reasons, we are really excited to see what adventures lie ahead with this AI exploration program.
Committee that Tara just mentioned worked rigorously last year to develop policy regarding AI in the Torrance schools. We developed both teacher and student guidelines, but we also developed language that is added to the acceptable use policy that parents and students sign each year that just offers guidelines for general tech use, but we added language surrounding AI there.
So we want students to be equipped with AI literacy and AI fluency, but ultimately we believe that that starts with the educator. One of the things that we also developed as part of our work with our TUSD AI committee is developing teacher guidelines. As you can see here, these are kind of the ABCs of best practices for how to successfully incorporate artificial intelligence into the classroom. Of course, giving nod to AB 873, but we also want to support the plethora of opportunities that AI can bring into classrooms, such as blended learning, of course, taking data privacy very seriously. We want to engage and provide equity for all of our students. We provided numerous hours of professional development training over the summer and continue upon invite to provide support for department meetings and staff meetings. We also want teachers to be able to guide students how to use AI in safe, responsible, and ethical ways. And then when it comes to AI detection, as Rob mentioned earlier, our surveys the data doesn't indicate that students are using AI to cheat. And unfortunately, although some educators would like to see a tool for AI detection, there is no current tool that is actually successful at reporting AI detection. They may claim that they have a 90% success rate, but what this really does is victimize some of our most vulnerable populations of students. For those whose first language is not English, or for students who may need a little extra support. So what it really does is just victimize students who may be struggling with language acquisition or just how to use AI in general.
Now, here's a glimpse of our guidelines for student AI use, and they're broken down into an easily digestible format, much like the teacher guidelines, with the intent to be similar to the ABCs of AI use. In developing these guidelines, we noted that many other districts that actually had guidelines, many of which did not, but the ones that did have guidelines in place tended to focus more on what not to do. We, on the other hand, took a different approach and focused on the best practices when it actually comes to utilizing AI. So notice that these guidelines really focus on balance, of course, critical thinking. We want to make sure that students understand you should use it as a tool and as a thought partner, as opposed to just writing things for you, right? Of course, we are emphasizing digital citizenship and critical media literacy related to the ethics behind the idea of artificial intelligence, fact checking, and of course, honesty. Now, it really does come down to the four walls of the classroom for which the teacher and the students are, learning and establishing their learning environment. Because while we have these guidelines to support our teachers and to endorse artificial intelligence integration into curriculum, we do ask teachers to have that discussion within their own classes, with their own students, to establish that expectation, whether it's for the entire class as a whole or down to even individual assignments. Ooh, so this leads us to the very exciting part of our presentation and our favorite part, and it is artificial intelligence game time. So in just a moment, we are going to ask you to participate in a poll activity. And so in a moment, I'll click on these slides that are made available to our families, but we'll plant the seed in that we actually go through this activity not only with our teachers in our professional development sessions, but when we have been invited out to school sites to model lessons related to AI, we have also done it with students. And interestingly enough, students do far better than adults do. Now, this, you can see the game, is titled, "Can We No Longer Believe Anything We See?" Especially with all of these AI headlines in the news. Now, when we go through this game, what you're going to see are two different images on each slide with an overarching question. And the question will either be, which image was generated by AI, or which image is a real photograph? So we're going to give you a couple moments, look at the images, and then we're going to have you vote. Is it the left image that is generated by AI, or is it the right image? So we'll take you through that sequence right now. Yep. So I'm going to go back to sharing our screen. All right, here we are. So just to give you a little background, this particular game was adapted by our team after reading this in a New York Times article. And we just got a kick out of it. And we thought, you know what, we always like to spice up our professional development trainings. And why not turn it into a game to make it a little bit more engaging? So we hope you enjoy. And thank you for being willing participants in our activity. So here we go. The first set of images. Which image was created by artificial intelligence? Is it the left image or is it the right image? I'll give you a few moments. Okay. And again, the poll should be appearing down there at the bottom. Okay, and go ahead and cast your vote for fun. All right. Ooh, we see some
Okay.
votes coming in. Thank you for participating.
And keep in mind, there are 3 questions there, so we're answering question
the first set.
number 1 first.
So question number 1, no worries if you clicked ahead. You can stick with that. All right, so normally at this time, we have our audience deliberate with each other, collaborate, share their insights, but in the virtual realm, it's a little bit hard webinar style. So here we go. We also invite our audience to do a little drum roll for the big reveal. Just kidding, I wish we had that sound effect ready to go for you, but here we go. Dun-dun. So the right image was generated by AI. And when we incorporate this into our professional development sessions, we also point everyone's attention to the prompt down at the very bottom of the screen. And it's really interesting what language, adjectives, and different points go into the different prompts. And so we really emphasize this so that way students and teachers can really start putting their prompt engineering hats on and thinking ahead to when they are utilizing AI. But with that, we're going to keep chugging along. So here we go. Here's the next one. Number 2 in our poll. Which of these images is a real photograph? Is it the left image or is it the right image? Give you just a second. Okay. Real photograph. That is so interesting. Now, Based on this poll, I know there are not kids on here voting because my goodness, us adults are not very good at this game. And typically we've noticed that adults get progressively worse. So congratulations. Now, here we go with the drum roll again. And here's the big reveal. Ah, got you. A lot of you said the left image was a real photograph, and this one always throws our audiences off. So I'll take one quick moment to circle back to those images. First of all, couple different giveaways, and we're going to give you a couple different tips when it comes to identifying AI versus real photographs in the future. But pay attention to, first of all, how beautifully flawless their skin is. That is kind of one giveaway, okay? It could be a little filter though too, or just great skincare routine. But take a look at this man standing behind the couple, and it's really interesting because his head is disproportionate to his body. So notice that his head is so tiny while his body here is a lot larger, and it's like he hit the gym every single day for arm day. So that's something that we always get a chuckle from kids with. Yeah, we make ourselves laugh too. And on the right-hand side, you'll also notice one of the pieces of feedback that we receive from audiences is, what on earth is this Statue of Liberty doing in the middle of this square? But Rob, what could it be?
Well, we think it could be Saul Goodman's office, or maybe a business like Liberty Bail Bond.
And so here's another huge clue. First of all, if you look into the judgmental expressions of these ladies passing by this exceedingly happy couple, their faces you can actually make out, and you can really tell they are not happy with what's going on here, and they don't think it's appropriate. So the fact that you can actually pretty much make out their expressions, that's another giveaway, because AI tends to struggle with faces, with producing limbs and fingers. And the last point we'll mention is the amount of litter and just chaos going on the street. Now, at this point, AI doesn't do a great job of really producing those minute details. However, as we move forward, it's going to be harder and harder to tell whether or not something is AI generated or real. Now, we will move on to the next and last sequence of images. Thank you for casting your vote. So we're on number 3. Taking a look at the 2 images in front of you, which of these images is a real photograph? Maybe just a moment. We're looking at the polls popping in. Oh, okay. That's surprising. This one always gets people. All right, and without further ado, here's the big reveal. Okay, but we'll tell you real quick first. Our team, when we first saw this, we thought, you know what though? The left image, what on earth is that red carpet doing so close to the ocean? Mais bien sûr, c'est en France at the Cannes Film Festival. So that would be the giveaway, but that's something that really tripped us up, our team initially, when we first played this game. And notice on the right-hand side, it almost looks like there's a tsunami warning where everyone's just rushing to get off the beach and, inland a little bit. But notice that, again, the right image is the AI generated image. And that's another giveaway. Again, a lot of chaos. It's rather blurred out. Sometimes it doesn't quite make sense. Well, yes, I suppose it's rather possible, perhaps in Cancun, but nonetheless, we would also point your attention down to the prompt. Again, just putting your prompt engineering brains and thinking caps on. Consider that as you move forward and utilize AI yourself. So thank you again very much for being willing participants and playing along with us and casting your vote in our poll. But that's going to take us to our next slide, where we talk about spotting AI images.
So we want to make sure that not only are we equipping students to handle digital media in text form, but also with images. So some of the strategies that we have discussed in classrooms, including the high school classroom that we were featured in for Spectrum News, is having students really zoom in on those images. So we've noticed as well that AI, although it does really remarkable things, it really tends to struggle with faces, hands, mouths, limbs. Sometimes there are extra fingers or not enough, or there's just features that don't look proportional for the rest of the face. As Rob mentioned earlier, we do provide some literacy fact-checking sites as well as image fact-checking sites, including Snopes, which is a really great one. And then we also teach students how to utilize reverse Google image search. Since AI is generating something that has never existed before, if you're not able to find it on Google, it might be a great starting point, not necessarily to jump to the conclusion that it was AI generated, but it could prompt you to use another critical media skill such as lateral reading. So one of the things that we wanted to add for our knowledge of artificial intelligence is some of the dilemmas and drawbacks. So if you have ever used ChatGPT before, it says in very fine print at the bottom, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Make sure to check your information. Artificial intelligence is trained to generate an output. You type in a prompt, and then it comes up with something new, but it doesn't always get it right. Sometimes AI can hallucinate, and a hallucination in artificial intelligence means that the information is completely nonsensical, it's bogus, or it's inaccurate. So we want to make sure that we are supporting not only educators, but students, and also our family and communities here, that just because you get an output doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. So utilizing things such as lateral reading or lateral prompting is a great strategy when you're engaging with artificial intelligence.
Here are a couple other vocabulary terms we'd like to share with you, and that includes emotional stimuli and grounding prompts. So this is in particular when you're focusing on that prompt engineering, when you are actually creating and crafting your prompt in order to receive the output that you were looking for. Now, we encourage you, and it feels absurd initially, especially the first couple times, but we encourage you to use something called emotional stimuli, and this helps combat those hallucinations and increase accuracy. Now, emotional stimuli is simply a phrase that you insert into your prompt that is actually encouraging AI to do a good job. So remember, AI is trained by humans. Human intelligence is still more important than artificial intelligence. And so whenever you are crafting that prompt, if you insert just a little something like "this is very important to my career," or "the students in my class are depending on your output," or "I know you can do it, I believe in you," it sounds absurd, but we're telling you, it actually has been proven to increase accuracy by just about 12%. So it blows our minds, but as humans, we love positive reinforcement. Well, so does AI. Now, in addition to emotional stimuli, something else that you must have in your prompt when you are utilizing AI is called a grounding prompt. And it does depend on what your intent and your purpose is and what kind of output you're looking to receive. But grounding prompts are another strategy to combat hallucinations and increase accuracy. And that would essentially be inserting a phrase that really directs AI to pull its output and resource information from a particular source. So it really anchors that output towards a source that you're looking for. So for example, you could say, "according to the CDE," and finish up your prompt, or "according to WebMD," or "according to whatever publication is your preference." If you include those grounding prompts, it has been proven to also increase accuracy.
The last term are shots in prompts, and you can have a single shot prompt where you put in a single piece of context or information about what you're asking, or a multi-shot prompt where you put in several pieces of context about what you're asking. My personal example is that I substituted this was, again, not for school use, this was for personal use, but where I substituted some chicken thigh for a dish that I normally make with pork shoulder, and I put in 7 pieces of information about how I cook this, and then finally asked, how should I adjust the cooking time? And so that was a 7-shot prompt. And then the last piece, it's kind of small in the bottom right, is what's called chain of thought prompting, which has been proven to increase accuracy with mathematics or programming, where you ask the AI to show its how it worked out, say, a math problem step by step.
Now, once again, we see the wonderful potential that AI has to offer. However, there are many different drawbacks and dilemmas that we encounter when it comes to utilizing AI. And human rights is something that we also cover when we provide this onboarding presentation to both teachers as well as students. And human rights really speaks to the training behind AI. It's that workforce behind AI. And unfortunately, many humans across the world have been exploited. And unfortunately, these different companies tend to control marginalized communities globally when it comes to that training, where people who have these jobs are working across the globe and are working on these different micro tasks that are not managed. There's no way to dispute any issues in the workforce when it comes up, and they are wholly underpaid. And so human rights, once again, is one of those dilemmas that we discuss with both teachers as well as students.
Some other dilemmas that we want to discuss are bias. Since there is a considerable amount of human training involved in artificial intelligence, humans can export their own implicit biases into AI models. There are also algorithmic biases and interaction biases. So we want to make sure, unfortunately, that we are equipping students and all users actually of AI into taking into account some of the biases that may exist when they are engaging with artificial intelligence. Additionally, when it comes to the environment, artificial intelligence has a massive negative impact on the environment. The amount of energy that is consumed in creating these massive data training centers, the amount of e-waste that is produced, the resources that are depleted, the carbon footprint and emissions that are coming out of these massive data training centers, the lack of transparency when it comes to data, supply chain issues, as well as the ecological impact and the massive amount of water that is utilized really showcase one of the major ethical dilemmas when we talk about artificial intelligence, which is incorporated in both our student and teacher guidelines.
And then finally, privacy and security are a huge concern. One of the things in our initiatives moving forward are making sure that both teachers, school administrators, and students are wary of inputting personal identifying information into chat prompts on these models. That is also one of the reasons that we are excited about our exploration pilot program with School AI, because we have a data privacy agreement with them.
So as we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different AI platforms that offer really robust resources and tools for teachers. But what sets School AI apart from those other companies and really makes it exceptional are some of the resources that students have access to. So as we mentioned earlier, these are all monitored. The visibility on the teacher dashboard, they can see individual chats of their students. If there is sensitive or harmful content, it can automatically pause that chat, notify, and flag the teacher. The educator in the room is the only person who has visibility access for all of the chats. The students can't see each other's, and the chatbot will differentiate and engage with students differently based off of those interactions. Two of the supremely unique features in School AI are Spaces and Sidekick, which we have done in model lessons in elementary all the way up through high school classrooms. And watching students get so excited about engaging with AI as a conceptualization, brainstorming, and thought partner, really, what more could you imagine for such a transformative student impact in learning and achievement? Now, spaces are meant to guide student thinking, won't necessarily provide the correct answer, but it will help support students, challenge, ask questions. And of course, we want students to challenge AI too. As we mentioned earlier, AI doesn't always get it right. So we want to make sure that students, in addition to some other critical media strategies that we mentioned earlier, challenge AI because we know it can hallucinate. Sidekick, on the other hand, is more of a general tutor. It can be content specific or very broad in nature, and this eventually will support students by guiding them to the correct answer. Now, this is not to say that Sidekick nor Space will actually write or complete an entire assignment for students. That's not the way School AI is built, which is why ultimately we selected it for our first exploration program. These are just two of the amazing resources that we've seen utilized in a variety of classrooms so far this school year.
All right, so now we're going to cite just a couple direct examples from the classrooms across Torrance Unified School District. Spectrum News actually recently spotlighted the innovative work our teachers and students are doing with AI in our district. Now, this particular lesson that we are referencing took place in a North High classroom in a U.S. government class where we discussed critical media literacy, the basics of artificial intelligence, really unpacking mis, dis, and malinformation. And so we do invite you to explore the article and video segment available on our website to see firsthand how our community is leading AI education and integration.
The images that you see here are from an elementary classroom where we went in and taught students how to use a school AI space as a brainstorming tool. We also incorporated critical media literacy into this lesson and talked about how to discern good output from bad output and to make sure that you don't always believe what the chatbot is telling you. Students brainstormed some animals, mythical animals that they put into interesting situations, and then at the end generated an image that they put into our favorite graphic design program, Canva. Think of, say, a rabbit eating ramen in a ramen shop.
So of course, we want to provide some resources which are available on our family support site. So we do have some favorites that we utilize in classrooms for model lessons, including Common Sense Media and code.org, which we used in that lesson to help students generate those really wacky images of a French bulldog on a skateboard. So it's just really exciting to watch students be so enthusiastic about learning. They're gaining valuable skills that will set them apart from those that don't have access to them. But we also want to provide our families with ways to support not just AI, but critical media literacy and digital citizenship at home.
We've also worked with our English language development program, or our program specialists in our English language development office to develop guidelines for using AI for translation. And that's also one of the things where with critical media literacy, we think it does a good job. We think it does a much better job than Google Translate, but we still want to make sure we vet the output. And so of these practices, it's really the lower right that is the most important, where ideally anything that is translated by AI is ideally verified by someone with fluency in that language.
Now, on these two slides, we have a couple different examples regarding different prompts that you can input when you are supporting your students at home. We do invite you to delve into the world of artificial intelligence if you have not yet, and utilize at least one of our foundation models, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. But as we mentioned earlier, we're a little bit partial to ChatGPT for our specific purposes. Now, here are some examples. You can request academic support from AI, explaining specific concepts related to particular subject areas, or help foster exploration and curiosity. Well, why, when kids are coming up to you, why do the leaves change color in fall? Well, if you don't have the explanation, that's a wonderful question. Let's go discover with AI. Go ask AI together, right? It's really helpful when it comes to conceptualization. For example, when it comes to the Common Core math strategies that are out there that, some adults struggle with sometimes. And so that would be another wonderful opportunity, in addition to building digital literacy, not only having you utilize AI, but invite your student along, whether the student is in elementary, middle, or high school, to take part in that thought partner and move forward in asking all these different questions that, maybe previously would take a little bit longer to answer.
So additionally, a couple other prompt examples that we just wanted to put on your radar. Students might need some help and support, especially in that transition from elementary to middle school, and then also from middle school to high school, how to study, how to balance their time and manage their time well. We also here in EdTech support the concept of the growth mindset. You can't do it yet, but you eventually triumph if you put your brain into it. So guiding students, okay, so this didn't go well this time, but what are things that we can do better moving forward in the future? This is also an excellent tool, as we mentioned here, in support with our ELD program specialist. If students are still in the process of language acquisition, ChatGPT and actually School AI can both translate in real time, so it can really help with lowering that affective filter and helping to support language development. And then finally, it also can provide some emotional support. So if your kiddo comes home from school and has just had a really lousy day, sometimes we don't always know what to do or how to help or what we can say that would make our kiddo feel better. So asking ChatGPT, not necessarily just academic things, but every day, how can I help? How can I be supportive? How can I be sympathetic or empathetic? Might also be an excellent example if you're delving into the world of artificial intelligence.
And don't forget, if you are needing some ideas for meal prep or workout regimen, it's another great way to start for personal use. And that just about wraps up our presentation, but hopefully by now we have really demonstrated and illustrated to you why we feel it is really important in Torrance Unified School District to actually teach our students about artificial intelligence. And so our commitment to teaching this stems from, once again, multiple priorities, which include addressing state mandates, building digital fluency, and preparing students for the evolving career landscape where AI skills are increasingly essential. So thank you once again for joining us. We really appreciate you being here, and we'll hold tight just for a few moments to check on the Q&A section and see if there are any questions added. But once again, thank you, and we hope that you have a wonderful evening.